in the classroom. Otherwise, when somebody else comes in, my picture disappears, and I can't.
Okay.
In my they're having a problem with trying to sort that out. But if somebody's
Okay.
been in the class or is in the class, then
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't affect it. Don't ask me
Okay.
why.
Okay.
So that would well, look, we are expecting 6 or 8, so we're expecting quite a few people into class. So in
Okay.
theory, it should work.
Sure. So I'll just stay until you
If you could,
start the class.
please. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I will.
till
That's why I'm
somebody
here.
joins. Good,
Yep.
then I can do it. It's been one of
Yep.
those mornings where they are quite the most. It's been a very busy morning. I've had 3
Okay.
classes following each other and not realizing quite that some of my notes didn't have the new adding beginning and ends. So I have
Okay.
been quickly changing and
Okay.
in between class. It's been an interesting morning.
Multitasking.
Oh, well, no, look, it's all part of the learning. I even had a blonde moment where I put the children's version of the last one up by mistake. Fortunately, I realized it straight away and I was able to immediately sort it out. But yeah, it was
Cool.
quite an interesting one. Yeah, no. So they um, are the strangest. It's an interesting world when you're trying to redo a whole lot of things that people have been asking you to change and do. But
Yep.
yeah, and then so they are able to. Right, that can all go. I can just talk about it. I'm changing notes, and phew, it's been interesting. But we're there, we're done, and yeah, everything's up to where it should be, and hopefully everything is the way it should be. Too big. 18 will do. Okay, right. Oh, there we go. Looks like we have liftoff. We have
Yep.
people
Someone's
coming
here.
into class. That is awesome. So, Donna. Oh, Donna's in. Hi, Donna.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And yourself?
Very good.
Ah, excellent. Lovely to have you back in the class again to do with animals. I know you love your animal classes, so that is
Yeah.
awesome. It's great to have you back with our lesser known Australia, well, not lesser known because crocodiles are well known, but not sort of the ones that everybody goes, aha, I know that animal. And we'll see today just how many you do know. There are a few more people coming into class, so we will wait for that one. Donna, you were in the pet one, weren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you make anything for your pet?
Well, I don't have a pet right now because I had to put her down. So she was 16 going on, well, she would have been 17, but and it's hard to get another one after something happens. So
yeah, you've got to actually have somebody dump one on your lap where you kind
yeah.
of can't say no, and then it's okay.
well, I'm trying to volunteer like at the shelter or something to that degree, at the Animal Humane Society, but they're not allowing anybody to do it yet because of COVID.
Of course, that's right. But it'll happen. It'll come.
Right.
It'll come.
Right.
Yeah. I had a cat that lived to 22. I got her when I was little, when I was a baby. She was and when I left home at 21, she was still there. So she really lived to a ripe old age as far as I didn't know they could live that old, quite honestly. But she was a big fluffy cat and she was awesome.
I have a friend in Australia. And she has a cat and it's the same name, Molly. That was my dog. So I say, how's Molly doing? And she said, she's doing good, but she's getting old now too.
Oh, they all do, unfortunately. That's part of it. Hi, Shirley. Lovely to have you back in class too. Excellent. And Mary Ellen is joining us as well. Lovely to see you, Mary Ellen. Lovely to have you in class as well. That is awesome. We really are getting to have a great class today. Mary Ellen, where are you from?
Chicago.
From Chicago. Okay. Oh, are you in your garden or is that a virtual background?
No, actually, this is a virtual background that I just got from my friend in Japan.
Oh, beautiful. Lovely. Oh, there are some awesome backgrounds around and things like that. So it really
I'll put my background up.
Yeah, I can't put a background up. My computer's too old. And unless I've got a green background that is actually on my shoulders, it doesn't work. And if I move my hands, and I use my hands a lot, then everything goes everywhere. So I've created my own background. So this is my background that I've built as a background instead. But great to have everyone. I'm going to start sharing. I think anybody else who comes in, we'll chat with them as well. Today, before I share, hold on. I was saying I was busy working on some things and I see that I hadn't changed this back to picture 1. So we were about to start on the last picture of the slides, so that wouldn't have worked. There we go. Now we are up and running. We're going to learn about more Australian animals today, and I'm not doing it as a PowerPoint presentation, simply because I want to try something different with you today. I want to see how observant you are and if you can guess, and then we'll talk about the animals. But let me explain a little further on. Now, it's wonderful. I've got some cameras on, and that always makes a difference. We learn from each other, and if I can see you, it makes all the difference in the world. But if you chat as well, I know Shirley chats away, and so does Donna. So that is awesome. It really doesn't matter. And you can request a recording after the class. Those who've joined by live streaming, unfortunately, you can't get a copy of it. But so all you need to do is to register and join. It's free, it's easy. And if I do mention any products, but I don't think so in this particular lot, it's purely what I use or do. So I can't turn that way. I've got to remember to go over here. All right. As most of you know, I come from Perth, Australia. I moved here 3 years ago from South Africa. That's why I do my African animals and my animal encounters, because those are the things that I've had and been with. I've been an educator for 44 years, but here in Get Set Up, I just guide and I share. And for me, that's awesome. I'm with my peers, I can guide and share and have so much fun. I enjoy creating and making things, including puzzles. And of course, my love of animals, everybody knows. So let's have a look. We're doing Australian wild animals part 2. Oh, that's interesting. Part 2 decided to be in the wrong place. I can change it straight away. From the cute and cuddly to the large and somewhat scary. For me, the cutest and the cuddliest of all are the little fairy penguins. They are delightful. The crocodiles are interesting. They are large and scary, and fortunately, we don't get them on my side of Australia. They are all on the north, right up in the north, and mainly on the eastern side. So I'm quite happy to let the crocodiles live there in peace and leave us on our little bottom west side quite safe and sound. Now, I want you to look at these animals because just now I'm going to show you some silhouettes, and I want you to try and guess which animal the silhouette is. As we guess, so we'll discuss that animal. So let's have a look and see. We've got a thing called a numbat, and he's a rather interesting solitary animal. Next to him, we have the strangest bird I have ever seen in my life, called a Kasawari. Then we have the Echidna, a very special little animal, looks rather like a hedgehog, but has traits that no other animal in the world has. Going back to the beginning, we've got a Potteroo. He's a tiny little animal that lives in the undergrowth. An emu, which is on our coat of arms, and the Thorny Devil, who lives in the desert. We also have the dingo, which looks just like a dog, but is more of a wolf than a dog. If we have time, we'll listen to the sound of the laughing Kookaburra, because it laughs from the bottom of its tail all the way up as its sound. When they come into our little forest, there's usually two of them, and my window's open. I can hear these two laughing in the trees. And the only thing I can do is laugh with them because it's beautiful. We then have a little animal with spots on him called a quoll. Very shy animal. We have the fairy penguins. We have what most people would regard as a rabbit, but it's actually a bilby. We don't have rabbits in Australia, so a bilby is the closest thing to a rabbit. And then crocodiles, which of course you all know. So let's have a look and see how many of these animals you might be able to work out what they are. Can anybody guess an animal for me? Anybody think they know which one? Does anybody know what this first one is with the long
bilby.
ears? The bilby, right. So let's talk about the bilby. Let's go down and find our little bilby, and let's have a little chat about the bilby. I've just got to find him in here. It's not as easy as I thought. I thought the bilby was my first one. He is, right. This is a new experiment. They said, try something new, so I'm trying something new. So you are my guinea pigs today. Right. The bilby is a medium-sized marsupial. He looks kind of like a rabbit and is best known for his long ears that he's got. And he's got incredibly strong toes in the front for digging. But he is a marsupial, but somehow he manages to close the pouch when he's digging so that the sand doesn't go in front. Not like the wombat, who's too close to the ground and he has to have his pouch pointing backwards so that the baby doesn't get covered in sand. They have been here, they say, for up to 15 million years. They're dinosaur-like. They have just been an animal that's been here forever. And all of the indigenous stories and songs have bilbies in them. So it's been passed down from generation to generation to generation. And the habitat, unfortunately, has been destroyed a lot. So as you can see in the little picture at the bottom, they are only on the western side, right near the north, and there's one tiny little patch more central, but that is their habitat, and it's being left as their habitat. So they should be able to survive for the next 15 million years as long as humans don't destroy any more of it. But their tail is the interesting thing. It looks like a bottle brush. It's white, then it's got a black piece, and then it ends with a white. And the back piece looks kind of like a bottle brush. You kind of think if I stuck that into a bottle, I'd clean my bottle very well with that because it's kind of rough. But they are the cutest little animals. And you can see they belong to the similar family of the kangaroo with the big back legs, little front legs. Hopping along, jumping along, just like a kangaroo, but an eighth of the size of our kangaroo. So now we'll go back. Can anybody come up with the next animal? Anybody remember any of the animals that we spoke about?
The emu.
The emu, yeah. Let's go down and have a look at our emu. Emu, I know, is near the bottom. There he is. Right, now the emu is on the Australian coat of arms. It's the second largest flightless bird in the world. The ostrich in Africa is the largest, and the third largest is the Kasawari. So Australia has two of the biggest flightless birds in the world. And the male incubates the eggs. He takes responsibility for the eggs, and he sits there for 8 weeks, and he doesn't eat and he doesn't drink. He loses all his body weight. He's like a penguin. Penguins do the same. And he looks, and 10 times a day, he turns these eggs over. And as they mature, so the color changes. It goes from a very light green to this beautiful emerald green egg. And once they are the emerald green color, they are ready to hatch. And then mom takes over and dad goes and has his food and his well-deserved drink. And his job is now over, although he does help mom a little. But they are really, they're not for me, the most attractive of birds, but I think their way of life and their lifestyle is so interesting. The little babies are stripy, and they trotter on behind. As soon as they're born, literally, they can get on their feet. But the very important thing about the emu is his legs. He is a very fast runner. He's a high jumper and a strong swimmer, but he also has muscles on his legs. So if he gives you a kick, you will know all about it. And he kicks you forward. He doesn't kick backwards. So he can give you a hefty boot. And the other thing is they can't walk backwards. So if they want to see something that they've just passed, they've got to do a huge U-turn and go back to whatever they are going to. So that is something that's very different. All other birds can walk backwards or forwards depending on what they want, but not an emu. I think it's the muscle on his leg or something that causes him to not be able to do that. Any questions about the emu? It's got very strong beak.
Have you seen any of them?
I've seen a few. I've seen lots of ostrich which look so like an emu that the only difference is their coloring. The female ostrich is also brown, but the male ostrich is black. But with the emus, they're all the browny color. But I've seen a few of them, but not a lot at all. But in South Africa, I saw a lot of ostrich along the way. Whenever we were traveling, we would see them. So yeah. All right, time to choose. What animal do you want to know about next?
The cassowary.
The Kasawari. Okay, let's go down to our Kasawari. That one's easy to find. Here is a Kasawari. When the first time I ever saw a Kasawari, I actually thought somebody been playing the fool and had painted this animal so that people would look at it, because it has this vibrant blue head, a red wattle throat piece that goes all the way down, and there's what looks like a hammer on its head. And that is made out of bone, the same as your fingernails. And this lives on top of its head. So it really looks as if it does come from ancient times. But it is the most dangerous of all the birds. Not its beak, even though that beak is scary. It's those feet. Those feet have the sharpest nails I have ever seen. One scratch of that and it'll be in your veins, or it'll just go straight through your skin. So you do not want to irritate a Kasawari, because I looked at its feet and thought, is somebody going to snip those nails, because they are just so long, and so they look like the talons of an eagle, but twice as big. So you think of your eagle, then double that. That's a foot on a Kasawari. So it really has, and it's got strong muscular legs. It's the third largest bird after the emu. And it's only found in New Guinea and the North Queensland rainforests. And it is so needed there because it eats the seeds and then moves them around. And so that the life cycle of the plants can continue and the trees in the forest. If the Kasawari wasn't there, those forests would probably disappear. Not immediately, but would certainly do that. And they say it has descended from the dinosaur, and I can quite agree with that because for me it is very dinosaur looking, and those piercing yellow eyes remind me of the owls that we have in South Africa with those piercing red yellow eyes. Angry looking, cross looking, and they look as if they're going straight through you and they know exactly what you're thinking. So they are quite amazing.
We had one in Chicago at Brookfield Zoo, but I haven't seen him lately.
What did you think of him when you saw him?
Very strange looking.
Absolutely. It is quite the weirdest of all the animals that come along. That face, and it's such it looks like it's painted on. It looks like it's made of bone, and then somebody has taken a paintbrush and painted it on because it's just so vibrant a blue. Right. Now,
it looks like a cartoon character.
It does. Yeah, you're quite right. It does look like a cartoon character, just like your cartoons behind you, Shirley.
Yeah.
I see you.
That's what I feel today.
Oh, beautiful. Oh,
do you have turkeys over there?
Actually, in South Africa, yes, plenty. Australia, have I seen a turkey? We do get turkeys at Christmas, but I couldn't tell you whether they're from here or not.
Yeah, they're dead, the ones though, right?
Yeah, I haven't
seen.
This
guy looks like a turkey, but just about.
Yeah, yeah.
Our turkeys have a very.
They've got that wattle neck, yeah. They've got that colourful red wattle. In South Africa, we had the colourful red wattle, but here, I haven't seen any. I'll have to actually find out if they are really here. Right, so we've now crossed off some of our animals. Who can come up with another one?
Crocodile.
The crocodile. Right, let's go down to our Crocs, because there's such an interesting story about the Crocs. Well, I found it interesting anyway. There are two kinds of Crocs. We've got the freshwater one, which is not found anywhere else in the world naturally. If you see in a zoo, it's because it's been transported there, but it's not natural. And the estuarian one, which is where the salt water and the freshwater mix. And they've got one of the strongest bites in the animal kingdom, but they can't chew. Their jaw just doesn't go from side to side. So what they do, they swallow their prey whole, and then they swallow some rocks, and then the rocks grind up the food, and then they have their food. So that's why if somebody, they cut up a croc, they often find a whole something inside because he hasn't had a chance to digest it yet with his rocks. So it's still there. So for me, it is quite the strangest thing. The other interesting thing about the crocodile is the fact that when the female lays her eggs, the temperature is the most important thing. If the temperature is above 32 degrees Celsius, which I'm not sure in Fahrenheit, so it must be around about 80, because 40 is 107. So we can work it out. Then all of the babies will be male. If the temperature is below that, all the babies will be female. Occasionally, while she's laying, the temperature changes and you'll get a few males and females mixed in. But if she's laying at one particular time, you will find that she ends up with all male. Well, she doesn't look after them. She leaves them to breed by themselves. They put them in where it's nice and warm and off they go. But then those babies hatch and they are all female or they're all male. After 3 months, they hatch and they're around. I've seen crocodiles in a few places. We've had crocodiles in South Africa in our game parks. We do get crocs. And so, yeah, you do have crocodiles around, but they hide. I mean, look at that crocodile against that branch. I could lean against that branch and not, if I didn't have my glasses on, and I could be lunch for a crocodile.
Oh,
He's
that's 32 degrees Celsius, 89 Fahrenheit.
Oh, thank you very much, Shirley. Great. The other day, there was a lovely thing on TV of a crocodile who was on one side of a river and decided he wanted to go to the other side, but he didn't want to swim. So he walked across the bridge, and it was a main thoroughfare bridge. They closed off the bridge, and everybody had to wait while this crocodile sauntered across the bridge and down the other side, and then all the roads started again and the cars were allowed to go. But crocodile had right of way. And I think I would give a crocodile right of way too. The only time I like a croc is when it's little. Then it probably got quite a bite on it, but it doesn't look so scary. So that is our crocodile. Any questions?
Don't think I'll pet him though.
No. Any questions about crocs?
I'm not going to pet him, Sue.
No, not even his tail, because that tail can swing at a rate and knock me right out the water. So no, I'll look at them over the top of a wall. Nice crocodile. Interesting crocodile, but no closer than that.
Yes,
I give them a wide berth. They haven't been around since the dinosaur age for nothing. It's another one of the dinosaur creatures. Right, now, who's got another one they would like?
The dingo.
The dingo. Okay, let's wander down to the dingo. I think this is the dingo. Yeah, there we go. I'm getting quite good at choosing my pictures. Dingoes. Dingoes look like the most gorgeous dog, but they are not. Give them a wide space. They are more wolf than dog. And they are one of the largest land predators in Australia. They eat all sorts of everything. They live right throughout the whole of Australia. You can see there are some that are not that lovely orangey color. Some of them are a more browny color, but most of them are the orangey shade. And they live in their packs. And a pack is up to about 10, but they are very much, it's a hierarchy. Dominant female, dominant male, and everybody underneath. And only when something happens to dominant female or male does that dynamic change. If somebody tries to oust the dominant male and loses, he leaves the pack. And sometimes some of the others will go with him. But they are very social creatures. And there are one or two that live on their own, but usually they live in a pack. The little puppies look so cute. You would want to pick those up and love those, but just beware. And they live underground. They find the leftover holes from different animals, and those are what they burrow out and use. So they're quite lazy with what they choose as their homes. They also live in caves if they can find a cave. As long as there's a roof over their heads, they're a happy beast. But you don't. There are stories of dingoes having done damage to young children. So you just don't. You don't take a chance there. It's their land. We are visitors and respect it. And that if you live by that rule, you're pretty safe. They live everywhere throughout Australia, in the desert, on the beaches. They love fish. They'll go fishing. They really enjoy their fish, but they will eat basically any kind of protein is good for them. Any questions?
No.
The little cubs, there's usually about 6 to 8 cubs in a pack, in one litter. So you get the two different ones. And the dingo is not very big. He can grow from about 1 meter to 1.5 meters nose to tail. So he's not a really big animal lengthwise. And he only weighs between 10 and 20 kilos. So it's easy enough to pick him up. But just make sure you pick him up by the right part. Otherwise, you could end up being in trouble. If you had the nose facing you, you would be in serious trouble. Right, your next choice.
Thorny Devil.
Ah, the Thorny Devil. Right. Let's go and find little Thorny. Thorny's above the Kasawari. So where's my Kasawari? If I find my Kasawari, I'll find my Thorny Devil. These are found mainly in the desert in central Australia. And because they are an easy target for birds or other creatures, they've developed a second head right here. And so their head is low down. They've got a second head above it. And then anything that attacks that head. And it's not attacking them at all. And they're then able to escape. They manage to ward off because they're not being hurt at the time. But the Thorny Devil doesn't go and drink. If you give him a bowl of water, he wouldn't know what to do with it. What he does is he rubs against anything where there's water. A leaf from a little bit of rain that might have fallen, a bit of dew, and his spines, I suppose you'd call them, not thorns, are shaped in such a way that it forms a little rivulet channel to his mouth. Every single one of them goes to his mouth. So as the water lands on there, it flows through and straight into his mouth, which I think is such an interesting way of drinking. The other way he gets his liquid is from the thousands of ants he consumes. He consumes up to 1,000 ants every meal. What he does is he puts his tongue into their nest, and his tongue is sticky. It sticks to the stickiness and he pulls it back out. Eats that, puts the tongue back in, eats it, puts the tongue back in, and helps himself until he's no longer hungry. So he has a wonderful time. And then he's kind of like a chameleon because he can change color. He can go green, he can go almost black in color, he can go brown. And so he melts in with whatever surroundings he's standing on. So he's quite a lot like a chameleon. Not too long. He is only 8 inches long, not very long. And so he's quite a small little creature when he's fully grown. But what an interesting animal as far as I'm concerned. I think he's amazing. Any questions? Nope. Okay, let's go back. What else have we got to learn about today?
A furry penguin.
Ah, my fairy penguins. I love those. Are my ultimate best are the fairy penguins.
Fairy penguin.
Fairy, yeah.
Can you pick
They
these
are.
up?
Huh? Yes.
You pick them up?
Yes. If you're at one of the sanctuaries, yes, you can touch them.
Mm.
But they don't. When they're out in the wild, they'll scatter. But in a sanctuary, you can touch them. The male and female are this size. And they are just I thought those were the babies when we went because we went to what they call Penguin Island, which is just off the coast of Perth. And there are not only penguins, there are sea lions and there are seals, and there are quite a few animals that live out on there. But when I saw my first fairy penguin, I said, "Oh, look at these little babies, aren't they cute?" And the lady said, "That is a mother and father. The babies are over there. And over there with these little things that were this size." I went, "Okay, sorry."
Dwarfs.
excuse me. Yeah, they are the cutest, and the color. I'm used to African penguins. African penguins are black and white, but these ones are blue. The feather color is blue, and their eyes are a blue color as well. And they patter along, and the noise they make, they are very gregarious with their sounds. They take time and they make amazing sounds. They squawk. They sound just like a donkey at times. They hiss like a snake. They cheep like a little chicken, and they growl. And you hear these sounds and you're going, where's the dog? And then you realize it was the little penguin that was making that sound. And they love to play. They go up and down. They're in the sanctuary where the little ones are brought in if they have oil on them or hurt or anything, and then they are released again. These little things have water slides and all sorts. And they're off and they're on the water slide and down the slide, and then they swim in the water for a while and back up to the top, just like naughty kids. They really are the most delightful little penguins that you could come across. And again, the dad takes the turn. He helps to look after the eggs. Mum lays an egg, and it's put between the body and the feet. And there it stays. And they keep it for 8 weeks like that. And then they hatch. And after that, for another 8 weeks, mom and dad really are good. They look after it. And of course, the interesting thing about these animals is they mate for a season. So they will mate for the entire season. Sometimes they'll mate for life. But for a full season, they never go off and have a look at another penguin. That is their partner for the entire season. And so then after 8 weeks, mom and dad push off back into the water because they spend up to 18 hours in the water every day, and only come out as the sun is setting and go to their burrows that they have made in the sand dunes. And then next morning, they're back in the water early in the water. And they come out in one after the other. They make a little, like a chain of them. You see them coming up the beach. And they walk all the way along and then separate when they get to the top into their homes. They have over 10,000 feathers, even though they're so tiny. And so they are like down warm feathers underneath, keeping them from the coldness of the water, and they preen with their own oils. They eat a lot of shellfish, so anything that's got a shell on it, the krill and so on. And so when they defecate, it sparkles because of all the shells. And so that's probably why it looks like fairy dust, and they were named the fairy penguins. But they really are the sweetest little penguin. I think when I go back to Africa and I see those great big black and white ones, I'm going to kind of go, I think I prefer the little blue ones. They're just absolutely amazing. Any questions?
How many eggs do they usually lay at one?
1 to 2. 1 or 2, not more than 2. And then it's because they've only got that tiny space between their feet and their belly in order to keep and I know that other penguins, the dad does it. He stands dead still for 2 months, doesn't move, doesn't eat, doesn't drink until such time. And mum builds up strength. And then when the babies are born, dad goes off and mum then looks after. And once dad's had a good feeding, he'll come back and help mum. But in the penguin world, dad draws the short straw when it comes to looking after the eggs, just like the emus. All right, now we're coming to the end of our animals just about. We've already had the bilby, we've had the emu, and we've had the croc. In the second row, we've had the Thorny Devil. And in the third row, we have had the Dingo. I couldn't remember what it was called. The dingo, and we've done fairy penguins, and we've done Kasawari. So now we left mainly with a few animals that are a little difficult. I'd like to leave the echidna till the very end. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at number 2, the little potteroo. The little potteroo is really, really cute. Oh, okay, let's go to potteroo. He lives a lonely life. You don't see him very often. And he lives in the undergrowth, not in the trees, in the forest. So you've got the trees above and you've got the roots below and the little plants that grow on the ground. That's his home. So he lives in what they call the understory. And you find him in Tasmania and the southeastern Australia. We don't have them on my side of Australia. They are very small kangaroo-like animals. They're not territorial, and you rarely see them. I think I would probably think they were a mouse if I did see them. But again, they're a marsupial, and they have their little baby in the pouch. So they've got a long nose, and they're very cute, but very different. Any questions? Okay, let's go to the next one here.
Is that the numbat?
Numbat, yeah, let's go to the numbat next. Numbat would be your number 9 up there with his big fluffy tail. He is, oops, Bilby is the first one, numbat. There's our numbat. And our numbat has such a strange tongue. He is another one of these animals that eats termites, consumes a lot of termites along the way. And because he consumes the termites, he needs that tongue, which is 10 centimeters long. That's half a ruler in length. So where's my ruler? There's my ruler. His length of his tongue is that length. He's got this very long tongue, and a numbat is only 25 centimeters altogether. So he's only that size, and then his tongue is an extra 10 centimeters sticking out the front. So that really does give you this extra long tongue. He's awake in the day and the night, and he only eats termites. He doesn't eat anything else. He's not interested, and he gets most of his liquid from the termites. He doesn't need to drink. So they like a koala who also doesn't need to drink. He gets all his liquid from his leaves as well. They weigh about 2 kgs and they live for about 5 years in the wild. But you can see the stripe. That tells you that it's a numbat. With that funny stripe, or if it sticks its tongue out, it's very obviously a numbat. Right, so we've done our numbats and we've done our Kasawari, our dingo, our quoll. Let's go and have a look at the little quoll. Quoll should be here. Here is our quoll. He's got these spots on his fur and a very pink nose. It's like a little bulb on the end of his nose. Is the nose of a quoll. He is a carnivore, so he will eat little rodents. He'll eat birds' eggs. He'll eat ants. And he's very reclusive. He's shy. And he lives on his own except during the mating season. And they'll make their home in anything, an old tree trunk, an old termite nest, anything that he can find, he'll make his home there. But because he's a carnivore and sometimes there isn't enough food for him, what he will do is he will eat the occasional vegetable matter or fruit that he comes across just to keep himself going. But given the choice, he's very much a carnivore. Right, so we've done our quoll. And the last one we're going to do is, for me, one of the most interesting animals of all, following my fairy penguin, and that is your echidna. Now, the echidna has spines that looks rather like your porcupines or hedgehog more, because he doesn't shoot his spine. So he's more of a hedgehog in sort of spiny like, but he's got a beak like a bird and then a pouch with like a kangaroo, but he lays eggs like a reptile. There are only two marsupials that have, not marsupials, well, he is a marsupial as well, but there are only two mammals that lay eggs. They both live in Australia, one being the platypus and the other one being the echidna. But the echidna lays its egg, it's where the egg comes out straight into the pouch. So this little jelly bean comes out. It's the size of a jelly bean. It's got a jelly bean here and it's normally pink, but it's the size of a jelly bean. And that is then comes into the little pouch. It grows from the egg's there. The egg stays there. And when the egg is ready, the egg hatches and it's already safe in the pouch and ready to be able to drink straight away. So it's very, very clever. For me, the little Puggle is the cutest, ugliest creature I've ever seen. But a little Puggle, and they call Puggles, which I think is such a lovely name because it really is a strange looking animal. It's got a very long tongue so that it's able to pick up things with its tongue. And its spines are actually modified hairs. And between them, there are lots of little hairs to keep him nice and warm. They live for 50 years, up to 50 years. So they live a long life. They are slow creatures. They just walk along and do their thing. But I think for me, the most interesting thing is their mating ritual, because I don't think there's any other animal that has this, that I've come across. First of all, the male has 4 penises and the female has 2 vaginas. So 2 have to be put together in order to mate. But now to choose your mate, how do you choose your mate? The fairy penguin, he flaps his wings around and she chooses who she wants as her mate. But what does the echidna do? Well, about a month before it's time, the other echidna, the male echidnas, become aware of this and they start to follow her. And they follow nose to tail, one behind the other. They just keep going, nose to tail, and away they go. Now, when they've gone nose to tail, and if they fall out, they join the back of the queue and they keep following. When she decides it's time, she stands still and they dig a trench around her. And they all pile into the trench and then it's war. And they have to push each other out of the trench. And if you get pushed out, you don't come back. So once you're out of the game. And the last echidna standing, he's the one that's allowed to mate with her. And he can climb out of the trench on her side, and then the 2 of them, and then they do a little dance together as well. And then it's mating time. So for me, that seeing those very strange little babies that are born and the strange look of the animal in the first place, they are also said to have come from dinosaur time. So they come from way back when. They have been around a long, long time. So these are just a few of the different ones that we don't always see or we don't always know about. People
How
usually
long did you say they live?
50 years.
50? 50?
Bravo. Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
They live for 50 years. So they have a very healthy, long life. You see, any animal wanting to use them as prey or to eat, they just roll in a ball. Now, they've got sharp spines. So the creature would bat them, get spines in his paws. No, I don't think I want that, and leave. So when the danger's gone, the echidna just unrolls and off he goes. So he doesn't have many prey. He's got to be caught open because underneath there are obviously no spines. And so that is his danger point. But once in that ball, You're not going to get into him. You've got to wait for him to open. And most animals don't have that kind of cunning or thought to be able to sit around for an hour or two for him, because he can check from where he is. It's still there. I'm not going anywhere. So he'll just go to sleep in a ball. And you could wait for a long time. So they'd rather go and find, they're hungry, they'll go off somewhere else and find what they want to eat. So those are my strange animals of today.
I'm sorry I missed your first batch of animals because I did come one time and saw these before.
The other one's coming up again. It'll come up again probably in the next 2 weeks. It'll come up again.
I don't usually stay up this late.
Well, hopefully they are putting a lot of my lessons at 7 in the morning. So you can see that. Also, if you click in and then you think, oh, it's too late, you can click out, but you've been in and you can ask for a recording.
Okay.
So that's the cheats way of the late night ones if you want to watch something different. I know I did my encounters with wildlife at 7 o'clock in the morning on Monday. So that would have been probably 7 o'clock for you in the evening. So yes. we are coming a little earlier. 6 o'clock in winter is just a little early to start out. The East Coast can do that because they're 2 hours or 3 hours ahead of us. But where we are, this is our time as we're going.
Are you happy that you relocated to Australia?
I love it here. I really do. I miss my African animals, but the way of life here, the quality of life here is awesome. I miss my grandchildren. I've got 2 little grandchildren that I've never met. I only meet them on Zoom and I'm known as Granny in the phone. But other than that, you know, that is how it is. But yes, no, we've got a beautiful little house here. Our front opens onto a park. Outside my back door, 50 meters away, is a little forest. The children play in the street. It's just such a safe, awesome way of life.
You were talking about doing a presentation on the birds that are in your yard. Have you started that yet?
I've started collecting the pictures. We had a beautiful green parrot in the other day. He wanted to go to the bird feeder on the arch, and I've got pictures of him and how he gets there. He lands on the side of the arch and then walks his way to the top of the arch. He doesn't land on the top. So he walks his way up and then hops across onto the bird feeder, which is hanging in the middle of the arch. But yes, no, we are gathering our animals.
You should be in the photo class so that we can talk about our birds on Friday at 3.
3 in the afternoon.
Not 3 your time.
3 o'clock in the morning, my time. Might be a little early. Might just be a little bit early for that.
I've been trying to photograph birds all week, so
nice.
I was waiting for you to come up with your bird pictures.
Yeah, no, I've got some awesome bird pictures. So that is what I'll do is in my notes, I'll send you 2 of the pictures. I'll put them in my notes, 2 of the pictures of what the close-up ones. I mean, there's lots that we see, but we don't always see them close up.
Right.
But yeah, right. I'll put a couple of pictures in for you into the notes. I'll make an attachment and I'll just pop the birds in there for you.
Thank you, Sue.
No, pleasure, indeed. In fact, we have got a minute or 2. Let me stop sharing. This may take a second. I need to go here. I need to go to Kookaburra, Kookaburra sound. There it is. Kookaburra sound. I need
to buy them seeds. You buy seeds for your birds.
Yeah. Yes, we do. We buy seeds, and also like people at the moment are growing. We've got lots of sunflowers that have just seeded. We're grabbing them from all our friends and adding those to them so that they get the best they can get. So I'm going to share the Kookaburra with you now. I hope. Let's see if I can share the Kookaburra. Is he there? Yes, there he is. Let's see if you can hear this Kookaburra. I'm hoping you can. Let's see. Can you hear it when it starts? And tell me if you can't. Can you hear him?
It's very soft.
Very soft. Okay, let me see if I can make it louder. What are you laughing at, sir? My husband's laughing at the passage. Yes, I can hear you. You can hear it. Well, you're not supposed to hear it. The people are supposed to hear it.
He's got very acute hearing.
And only when he wants it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he can't hear. But it is the most gorgeous sound. It comes from the bottom of it up and out. And when you've got two of them singing together, it is really, really beautiful to have them doing that. So that is our day today. Thank you so much. If you've got any things that you want to talk about, get hold of Liz at Get Set Up. If you've got any more suggestions, like the birds, please put in the birds, and I can ask about doing the birds. And then you'll get class notes, and I'll put my 2 pictures in for you in the class notes. We also, once you book a class, you can now invite a friend, so you can have a friend joining you in the class. And if there's any group or people that you think might benefit from being able to come into the classes, let Get Set Up know, and they'll be able to contact them. If you want a copy of what we've just done, help it Get Set Up, and you can. You can't get a copy. You get a copy of a previous one. I forgot to press record. Oops. Sorry, lady.
Bad.
I'm really bad. I'm looking at it here. It's live streaming, but it's not. But you probably would get a recording because it's being live streamed. So they'd give you a copy of the live stream. So you would still be able to get that. I forgot to press those 2 little buttons. Oh dear. Sorry about that, ladies. I hope you have an awesome evening. Say good looking. Oh, I like that. What was that? Say good looking.
You always have great pictures, Shirley.
Yes, Shirley, won't you put your picture up again? Won't you say something so that I can get your picture up? I want to read what it says.
You want to read what it says?
Yeah, say good looking. Can I have your number? Oh, beautiful.
You'll get to the back of the line.
You get your own. I'm next. Oh dear. That is awesome. Thank you, everybody. It was a lovely lesson. Have a great evening. Thanks for staying up so late. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.